All right, so let's dive into something. Um, Something you might not have thought much about before. What happens when a business in Spain hits a major financial roadblock? We've got some intriguing materials here from MCHM Abogados, a law firm in Almeria that give us a peek behind the curtain of Spanish insolvency proceedings.
It's a bit like a high-stakes drama, wouldn't you say? Companies teetering on the edge, creditors circling, and then enters this fascinating figure, the administrador concursal.
That's the term that really jumped out at me, administrador concursal. What exactly does that even mean in this context?
Well, imagine a company in Spain is struggling to stay afloat. They're facing serious financial trouble and might be on the verge of bankruptcy. That's where the Spanish legal system steps in with a specialized process. And the administrador concursal is appointed by a judge to oversee it all.
So they're kind of like a referee in this whole financial mess, making sure everyone plays by the rules.
That's one way to look at it. But they're much more than just a referee. They have to be a highly qualified expert, often a lawyer, economist, or auditor with serious experience in insolvency.
Okay, so they're not just some random person stepping in. They've got the credentials to handle this complex situation.
Exactly. And their role is multifaceted. Think of them as a financial detective, a strategist, a communicator, and a guardian of fairness all rolled into one. It's a pretty demanding job.
Wow, that sounds intense. Where do they even begin?
First and foremost, they have to unravel the financial mess. They meticulously dissect the company's finances, searching for assets, liabilities, and any signs of trouble. Did the company overextend itself? Were there questionable transactions? Are there any hidden assets? They need to understand exactly what led to this crisis.
So they're digging deep, looking for clues like a real detective. What happens once they've pieced together the financial puzzle?
That's when their strategic expertise comes into play. Based on their findings, they need to develop a plan of action. Can this company be salvaged? Should they restructure, downsize, or is it headed for a controlled shutdown? They're essentially at the helm, steering the company through this turbulent period.
I imagine those decisions carry a lot of weight, not just for the company itself, but for all the people involved.
Absolutely. The administrador concursal has to consider the interests of everyone involved. The company owners, the employees, and, of course, the creditors who are owed money.
Speaking of creditors, it must be incredibly difficult to be on the receiving end of this news. How does the administrador concursal handle that communication?
Transparency is crucial throughout the entire process. They regularly report to the judge, keep the creditors informed, and ensure that everyone has a clear understanding of the company's situation. It's not about sugarcoating anything, but rather presenting a realistic picture of the challenges and potential outcomes.
That sounds like a delicate balancing act, keeping everyone in the loop while also managing expectations.
It definitely is. And remember, they have to remain impartial. They're not there to favor the company or the creditors, but to act as a neutral third party safeguarding a fair process for everyone.
So they're walking this tightrope, trying to find the best possible solution within a really complex legal framework.
Precisely. And it's not just about crunching numbers and following legal procedures. They're dealing with real people's livelihoods, their dreams, their fears. The human element is always present in these situations.
It's striking how much responsibility rests on the administrador concursal's shoulders. Are there any cases in Spain that illustrate just how impactful this role can be?
Absolutely. Let's talk about the case of Pescanova, a major Spanish fishing company that faced insolvency back in 2013. It was a massive company with thousands of employees and operations all over the world.
I vaguely remember hearing about that. Wasn't it a pretty complicated situation?
To say the least. There were allegations of accounting irregularities, hidden debts, and a whole lot of finger-pointing. The company was on the brink of collapse, and the administrador concursal had to step in and make some really tough decisions.
What kind of decisions?
Well, for one, they had to navigate the complexities of Spanish labor law. Downsizing was inevitable, but it had to be done in a way that complied with all the legal requirements and minimized the impact on the workers.
That sounds incredibly challenging, trying to balance the needs of the company with the rights of the employees.
Exactly. And on top of that, they had to deal with a mountain of debt. Creditors were understandably anxious to recoup their losses, but the administrador concursal had to make sure that the company's assets were distributed fairly and in accordance with the law.
So it wasn't just about salvaging the business, but also about mitigating the damage and ensuring a just outcome for everyone affected.
Precisely. And in the end, the administrador concursal was able to broker a deal that involved restructuring the company's debt, selling off certain assets, and ultimately saving a significant number of jobs.
Wow, that's a real testament to the power of this role. They essentially helped to steer Pescanova away from total disaster.
It was a complex and lengthy process, but it highlights how an effective administrator concursal can make a real difference, not just for the company itself, but for the entire community that depends on it.
It's really making me think about the qualities that would make someone excel in this role. It seems like it takes more than just financial expertise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You need someone who can analyze complex financial data, yes, but they also need to be a skilled negotiator, a clear communicator, and a strategic thinker.
I'd imagine emotional intelligence is crucial too, especially when dealing with people who are under immense stress.
You hit the nail on the head. The administrator concursal has to be able to build trust, manage expectations, and empathize with all the parties involved. It's a highly sensitive role that requires a delicate touch.
It's fascinating how this role combines analytical skills with a deep understanding of human nature. It's almost like they need to be a detective, a therapist, and a CEO all at the same time.
That's a great way to put it. They have to be able to see the big picture while also understanding the individual stories and motivations of everyone involved.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to a whole world I hadn't considered before. It's amazing how much complexity lies beneath the surface of something like insolvency proceedings.
And even though we're looking at the Spanish system, the core principles apply globally. Businesses everywhere face financial challenges, and there are mechanisms in place to help navigate those situations.
That's a good point. It makes you wonder, though, is the administrator concursal always able to pull off a successful turnaround? Or are there cases where it's just not possible to save the company? It makes you wonder, are there times when you just can't save the company, no matter how skilled the administrator concursal is?
Yeah, that's a really important question. And the truth is, not every story has a happy ending. Sometimes, despite the best efforts of everyone involved, a company simply can't be salvaged.
I imagine those cases are particularly tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the human impact.
Absolutely. It's never easy to witness the closure of a business knowing that it will affect the lives of employees, suppliers, and the community as a whole.
It underscores that the administrator concursal's role isn't just about numbers and legalities, but also about navigating the human side of these complex situations.
Precisely. They have to balance the legal and financial aspects with a sense of empathy and understanding. It's about finding the best possible outcome, even if that outcome means guiding a company through a structured wind-down process.
Could you explain what a structured wind-down entails? I've heard the term before, but I'm not entirely sure what it means in practice.
Certainly. A structured wind-down is essentially a controlled process of liquidating a company's assets in an orderly way. Instead of a chaotic free-for-all, the administrator concursal oversees the sale of assets, the settlement of debts, and the distribution of any remaining funds to creditors.
So it's about minimizing the disruption and ensuring that everyone is treated fairly, even in the unfortunate event that the company can't continue operating.
Exactly. And it highlights another crucial aspect of the administrator concursal's role. They act as a guardian of fairness throughout the entire process, whether the goal is to save the company or to oversee its closure.
This deep dive has really shed light on a critical but often overlooked aspect of the business world. It's so easy to focus on success stories, but it's equally important to understand what happens when things don't go according to plan.
I completely agree. And it's a reminder that insolvency proceedings, while complex and sometimes disheartening, are an essential part of a healthy economy. They provide a mechanism for dealing with financial distress in a structured and equitable manner.
It's also fascinating to consider the broader implications of this role. The skills and challenges faced by the administrator concursal are relevant in so many other contexts.
Absolutely. Whether you're negotiating a difficult contract, managing a team through a period of change, or simply trying to make sense of a challenging situation in your own life, the ability to analyze, strategize, communicate effectively, and make tough decisions is invaluable.
It's almost like a masterclass in navigating complexity, regardless of your specific field or industry.
Precisely. And for anyone who wants to delve deeper into this topic, I highly recommend exploring resources on Spanish business law, international comparisons of insolvency proceedings, and even ethical considerations in business decision-making.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of admiration for the administrator concursal. It's a demanding role that requires a unique blend of expertise, resilience, and empathy.
It truly is. And it's a reminder that even in the face of financial turmoil, there are individuals dedicated to navigating the storm and ensuring a fair outcome for all involved.
And to our listener, we leave you with this final thought. as you move forward in your own endeavors, whether in business or in life. Remember the lessons we've uncovered today: the importance of preparation, the value of clear communication, the necessity of sound decision-making, and above all, the power of human resilience in the face of adversity.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.